Hello. You are listening to Dads with Startups, a podcast about a couple of entrepreneurs who put family first.
The intro's so good.
So
how's it going, Kevin?
It is going. That's what I'll say. It's busy. It's busy. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, busy is an understatement around here right now.
Yeah.
I am short-staffed, still going through hiring woes. Well, not really woes, but still doing the hiring,
Okay.
And so until then, I'm just swamped and don't know how I'm going to keep up. I'm thinking about working some late nights again, which always leads to troubling times at home when I do that. I told my wife,
Tell me about
I
that.
don't want to start doing
What
that.
was the last time like that you did that in terms of your troubling woes?
Oh, so right after I launched Civic Review, and I knew at that time it was bringing in no revenue. And so I was working one night a week, maybe two, 1 to 2 nights a week. My wife will tell you differently. She'll say it was like every night, but if you factor in the extracurricular things that she had to do in the evenings, along with other things that I had to do through like school or like church related things or whatever, it was like we never saw each other. So it really did feel like, every night. And then I dialed it back, and we were good. And then there was one year, 2019, that was the year, the challenge year for our family. That's when I tore my ACL, had surgery for that, and broke my foot later in the year, and then had surgery for that. And so I was, that year I didn't work quite enough. Plus, we had all these medical bills. Oh, we had a baby that year too. So,
oh my God.
So it was an expensive year. We just put stuff on the credit card. And so then when we had our tax return and everything the next year, we, used a lot of that for credit card, but we still had some credit card balance to pay off. And so I put together a plan and I was like, all right, if I work this, the nice thing about doing freelance work, which is what I was, mainly doing at the time, I can just dial that lever up. I had some really great clients who were like, work as much as you want for us, John, and they would just give me tasks to do. I was just part of their development team. And
that's great.
So I just like dialed up the hours, and my wife and I agreed that for 3 months I would work twice a week late until like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say working nights, that was around 9 to 10 was
9 to 10
was typically when you.
And I had my office separate from home. So it wasn't like eat dinner with the family, put the kids to bed, and then work for 1 or 2 hours. It was like just straight on through dinner, come home at 10, eat dinner, and go to bed. So, the nice thing was paid off the debt, and everything worked out there. But that was a really hard
healed from your
time
surgery.
Also. Yeah. But so I don't want to do that anymore. And now that I'm full-time on Civic Review, there really shouldn't be a need for me to have to work late, on the regular.
Yeah.
But being short-staffed right now really makes it appealing, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear. I mean, I was curious just because I have seen the negative effects of working late into the night, and it's very disruptive. It's like, especially with me because I'm usually the first one. We split it back and forth, but often I'm the one that wakes up with the kids, and so by default, and so it's like 5 a.m. I went to bed at 2, and it's like, ugh, it's a bad night. And if I do that too much during the week, it's not good.
Yeah.
But I mean, the days before having children, which was only 2017 for me, I was able to work. I was a night owl, so I would work, 2, 3 in the morning, typically roll into bed, and then my wife would wake up early, and I would sleep in till 9, 10, which was
Right.
wonderful. It was just a wonderful life.
Those were the days. I
It
know.
was beautiful. Yeah.
It's like
So I can see
kids
that.
bring you joy, but they also don't
Yeah.
bring you rest. That's for sure.
They don't bring you rest. Yeah, everyone I talk to who's parent of any young children, it's like rest is a pastime, past thought.
Oh yeah.
But it is interesting how, because we just both mentioned how we're both really busy right now, and I was thinking about this a couple days ago. I have about 4 to 5 friends who are my age. They're all single. I have some friends that are that are they're French. They grew up in France. They're both brothers, almost the same age. They both are single. They've always been single, and then I've maybe 2 here I'm thinking of, and all of them are the type of folks that wake up probably very late. They probably go to bed very late, and I would say they're probably half as busy as me, but if you were to, I don't know if this is true, but if you were to ask them, oh yeah, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, can you hang out, or can you, love to see you, let's get coffee. It's almost like every time I ask, they are so busy. Apparently, they're like, oh, I couldn't do that. Things are so busy right now. And I know that they're not. I'm just like, you have one job.
Yeah.
You've
You're
told
like,
me how
busy
you
with what?
sleep in. Exactly. I'm like the one
Yeah.
I'm the one who's free, and yet I'm doing like 3 businesses and 4, 2 kids, and you have 4 children. It's amazing to me that
Yeah.
when I was thinking about how when I had children, I was forced to become more efficient with my time. I am kind of amazed because I didn't think I ever could be this efficient. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, I used to, before I had kids, if I didn't get 8 hours, maybe 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, I was a wreck.
a wreck.
And like less any I could not do all-nighters, and this is probably late 20s. By my late 20s,
Yeah.
mid to late 20s, I couldn't do late all-nighters anymore. If I ever did, I got sick, right? And then
wow.
like
Okay.
if I got like 6 hours of sleep, I was just a zombie the next day. And now 6 hours is like, in fact,
With
the
vacation.
last 2 or 3 nights I've had 6 hours of sleep, and it's just
It's amazing.
normal.
That's funny. Yeah, it is amazing how we can shift. But it's a good thing. I mean, I feel like right now it's a very busy time for us. We, like, same with you. We just bought this house. We're now doing renovations, and half of my attention is up there dealing with, plumbing right now. We're putting a new plumbing system in and a new kitchen, and half of my attention is down here. And it's just insane how just in a whirlwind. And yet, what other choice do we have? This is the time where life is busy, I guess.
Yeah. I may have already said this in the last episode. Have you heard Jim Gaffigan? Did I quote his
Oh no, but I love
kids
him.
joke?
Yeah.
Oh, so Jim Gaffigan, I feel like I shared this on the podcast already, so whoops, sorry if I did. But he said one of his jokes is, at the time he had 4 kids. I think he has more than that now. But he said, one of his friends asked him what it's like having 4 kids, so what it's like. And he said, just imagine drowning in a pool and somebody says, here, have a baby. He's like, that's what it's like having 4 kids.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That feels new to me.
Good. Yeah. It's
He's
totally
so
accurate. Anyway, but the kids are doing good. Otherwise, my first grader
Nice.
lost his first tooth, and he was pretty stoked about that. And he can't
Wow.
decide if he wants to put it under his pillow or keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So every night has been kind of a meltdown
Debate.
on whether or not he
Wow.
wants to put it under his pillow or keep it for one more night. We're like, you have nothing to lose if you want to keep it another night, you know? And
Right.
he's like, well, maybe I do want to put it under my pillow. And so, yeah.
Those are the difficult choices in first grade, I guess. That I remember. That's cool.
Anyway,
Good
so
stuff.
what's how about business wise? What's the scoop?
Let's see. So that's funny, but right before this, the reason I was entranced and I didn't even ping you around the time we were supposed to start was that I was filling out this verification form for a Google app on their API console. So that's interesting. I took the 4-hour workweek approach to, which I often do to taking building plugins. So this is for our plugin business. I basically built a plugin that I figured would probably work. But even before that, I actually put up a sales page for it. And then, to try to make it as ethical as possible, when you click purchase, it just says, "Oh, we're not ready yet." So I'm obviously not taking money, but just really to test how much people really want this. So we finally built it, all that stuff. And then I just realized, for me, this was like, of course, this is a plugin that basically allows you to upload files from, if you have a Google Gravity Forms on your website, it'll allow you to upload files directly to your Google Drive. Pretty straightforward. But I didn't realize that just because we're using this Google authorization thing that I need to actually verify the app with them, that I built this app. Now it's a verification process. But the problem is I already sold this app. So I just got an email from someone who's just like, "Why isn't this working? It says that you need to do something." I'm looking at their error and I'm like, "Wait, why that didn't happen for me?" So I just realized that it's because I was authorized to test it, but not them. And now I have to tell them that it could be 4 to 6 weeks before they can use their purchase. So I'm like, oh, darn it. So these legalities and these processes.
Refund coming.
I know. Refund and anger.
Yeah.
So that'll be after this recording. I'll be back to that. So that's one aspect. I'm excited. I was excited to get that out because it was finally wrapped up, and I just worked out most of the bugs. And so hopefully that's down the road, though, at least within 46 weeks, so I'll be able to sell it again. And then and that's basically we're building out new little income streams like that as much as we can, just to kind of keep funding Owlish, which is our main project. And that is I'm now. So the good thing is there's goods and bad. There's bittersweets actually. Last time I talked, I think I was ready. It was like, okay, by the next time we talk, I'm ready to turn on the funnel. I think I refer to it as turn on the faucet, like let people just sign up directly. And I'm not there yet, to be honest. I'm still stuck there. Still stuck. Right now, there are about 3 important, mostly front-end issues that I need to deal with, that links that are incorrect when you sign up and they take you to the wrong place and stuff like that, as well as just there's one major styling issue that just looks terrible for a course that I feel like I should fix. And I've been spending the past week and a half trying to we use Laravel as a backend and Vue as a front end. And so for Vue, all I've been trying to do is basically like compile this front end code into the back end using npm. And whatever reason, no matter what I try, whether it's on my own local machine or on a VPS, it just spits out tons of errors. And my developers are like, "I don't know what you're talking about. It works fine for me." So it's just been like the last 2 weeks has just been me spending like 3 to 4 hours a day hitting my head against the wall. Like, I cannot figure anything out. I cannot get this to work. And all I need to do is make a few CSS changes so I could do this. And I'm like, should I just get the developer to do this? But I need to get in there and do this. Like, I know a customer is going to need me to be quick, like you were mentioning earlier, just like being able to work late and stuff. And so I finally said, all right, I'm going to make a new VPS. It's going to be a development coding box that we all code on. And you guys set it up, and now they're having the issues and the errors, and they're finally like, oh, I guess there are issues. I don't know why it didn't happen for us before. So now they're trying to basically get this development box up. And once that's up, then I can start actually making my code changes, pushing it out to the actual app. I'll be free, and I can finally like turn on things. And so I'm just kind of waiting like for them to finish that development box so I can get going. So I'm thinking as early as next week. And that's the bitter part. The sweet part is that, I've been having just a lot more success with demos. I think when I first turned on demos, people would sign up and not show up. And then I realized as I was talking to someone in my mastermind that he was like, you have to send them an email before you do a demo. He's like, if I don't send them an email, half of them don't show up. And I was like, oh, okay. So now 2 hours before a demo, I've been sending an email, just a personal like, hey, look forward to seeing you. And the show up rate has been like, whoa, 70, 80% now versus like 20%. So I've been happy to see that. And even people, like one person who I thought was a no-show, she just got confused and thought it was my fault. And then she was like, I really need to schedule this meeting. Can I talk to someone else? Is there another representative I can talk to? Which, it's a little bit of a slap in the face, but at the same time, it's a good sign that she really wants to talk about this product. So it's mostly a good thing, I think. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm getting some better feedback and sort of some clear ideas about what people really want, and kind of what we talked about last time about prioritizing features. I have a little bit of a sense of like what are kind of nice to haves versus what are must-haves out the door. So those are my updates right now.
Nice. Well, I just finished a demo this afternoon right before our call. I had a demo with a pretty sizable, a decent sized city. They actually are kind of the epicenter, a city that is more of an epicenter in the Salt Lake Valley. So, not as big as Salt Lake City, but they have a lot of large businesses, and there's a lot of startups being established there and everything. And
what's it? Oh, I shouldn't ask, but maybe you'll tell us later.
Yeah, I can't share the name of the city right now, but we heard through the grapevine that they were looking for some software. They're unhappy with their current one, and they we talked to them, and they're just like, you can see on their face the hate that they have for the current software. It's just sheer hatred. And I was like, okay, so you're with cities, a lot of times they'll purchase with the new budget cycle, like in July. And I was like, okay, so you're probably looking at getting this set up in July, right? And he's like, no, like as soon as possible.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they have to do an RFP, which stands for Request for Proposals. And in government, for people who are listening who don't know, if you're going to make a purchase that is higher than a certain amount, then by law in that city, that amount is usually set locally, but by law, you have to issue a request for proposals and receive a few different proposals from competing companies. And then you set up a scorecard, and you have to grade those proposals and then choose the best one. And it's meant to, decrease corruption and kind of make things fair. So the unfortunate thing is, nobody likes doing them. The cities don't like doing them. Obviously, companies don't like it, but it has to be done sometimes. And so
for the public.
Yeah. So,
but sometimes there are rules, at least with the federal government, where they have to choose the cheapest option. Sometimes is that true in a lot of cities?
I haven't seen like a baseline have to choose the cheapest, but
Okay.
cost is usually one of the criteria there.
Right.
So
Okay.
That's
good.
sometimes it's like ability to meet criteria, and they can choose how they want to weight it, so they might say
Sure.
cost is 10% of our decision,
Yeah.
meeting
Okay.
criteria is 80%, and then like customer service is 10%, and then they can kind of like they can sort of decide how that's going to be.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
if a city wants a specific piece of software, they can write their proposal that they can set their criteria based on the features that a specific piece of software they have, and that makes it a little less fair across the board, but it does allow them to be able to pick
a little more
what
choosy.
they personally want without having the decision overridden,
I mean, to me, it's as a citizen, I think it's like, I think the overall, like you're saying, the overall intent there is good. Obviously, it can go wrong though if you're forced to choose a software that is not ideal. So it's good that they have a little bit of weight. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been through some really doozy of RFP processes where there was one, and it wasn't with Civic Review, it was with my consulting work, and I was bidding with a local community college to redesign their website.
Mhm.
And I had to submit a proposal. I spent 20 hours on it, and they received the proposals, but they had to submit all of the proposals and the grading scorecard up to an office at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people at the state level picked, and they weren't even the ones.
Jeez,
like
that's terrible.
They weren't even with the
terrible.
college, Yeah, it was terrible.
Like, yeah, we'll take
right.
We'll take this,
And
Joomla system that's like way backwards and security issues.
That costs like 4 times as much as my offer because I was an independent freelancer, and they went with this agency that's been around for 40 years, and they're like, they have better experience. And
40,
whatever.
It's like Fortran.
Oh yeah, 40 years is ancient.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So I mean, what's cool about it is I had heard, I think I was mentioning this to you when I first began speaking with you, which was there was a podcast episode on This Week in Startups where they were interviewing a government-oriented startup, and that the idea was like, how can we really make this an efficiency better and more use technology to make things better and more efficient. And so hopefully that's what you guys are doing. You're coming in with some modern ideas and modern systems and making things easier and smoother for people. Now, are you the one doing the RFPs, and do you have to change them and customize them for each client, or how does that, or potential customer, I mean, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of copy and paste from previous RFPs,
Okay.
But yeah, I do them, and they don't take 20 hours anymore, but they do take. I could spend a full day writing it at least. So at least 8 hours.
And are you hoping to get some of that offloaded to your new marketing person, perhaps, that you're looking for?
That part falls just a little bit outside of their this person's job description. I think a little bit. I intend to close on the sales and lead the sales effort.
Okay.
Cool. So they someday, someday I can hire that part out.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So but for me, some man, I'm still hiring though now that you mention it, and that's one where I'm narrowing it down to 2 or 3 on the marketing and sales position, and setting up some interviews with them where I can really get to know how they think and how they work, and it's a huge time sucker hiring.
Yeah.
So
are
the
you
other position? Yeah, go ahead.
Finding people locally still, or are you kind of giving up on that, or what's your? I know last time you're still thinking about that as an option.
Oh yeah, I've advertised it as actually a hybrid model.
Okay.
So because they're at this I don't know, I really enjoy being around people, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um I said, "Hey, if you're near, I haven't discounted people who are far away. So I'm still interviewing
Okay.
them. But if they are near
Okay.
enough to meet in the office at least once a week, then that gives them like a +1 over somebody else.
Sure.
Um,
That's good.
and but I'm absolutely not requiring or asking people to come in every day to the office. You know, it's definitely
Hmm.
uh, probably going to be a remote first environment. So
Yeah.
um,
There's an interesting episode of the Tropical MBA this week that dropped today, all about hiring and jobs. There's the whole notion of the
mhm.
end of jobs in the U.S. and stuff, and worth a listen for folks. There's a Reddit thread called, I think, like anti-work, that's been really popular recently about people who don't want to work. And
Yeah.
basically the someone's thread or someone's tweet went viral because he said, I'm hiring people in the Philippines for $5 an hour, and I'd be happy to share how I do that. And that somehow got on this anti-work thread and became like, this big war battle. And the notion being that, is it exploitive to folks in the Philippines that are paying $5 versus $30 an hour? Is it exploitive to that, or is it unethical for folks to move their um, they're hiring outside of the U.S. if they're U.S. based? I mean, there's basically this notion of like, we've already seen the globalization of manufacturing move out of the country, and now it used to be that like a desk job was still safe, and now that's started to become
Yeah.
threatened by VAs and virtual assistants and stuff. So it's it's an interesting topic, and it's something that I was, as someone who hires majority external non-U.S. residents.
Hmm.
We have people that are our team that are contractors that are U.S., but a lot of the heavy lifting of day-to-day operations gets done overseas. And so, I put my hat. After listening to that, my hat's off to you for keeping a focus on the U.S., especially as you're doing government work. I mean, but it's cool. I mean, it's easy and tempting to kind of go abroad, but it made me really think: could I get to a place where I make most of my new hiring back stateside?
Right. The capitalist in me wishes I could hire customer
Yeah,
success
yeah,
position overseas. However, um, I'm dealing. We sell to governments, and
yeah.
I don't think they look kindly on companies that are outsourcing the people who have access to their accounts
Sure,
to
makes
other
sense.
nations.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. That's another part of it. But in
yeah,
general, it's a
and
good
so,
thing. That's cool.
yeah, and
You're
the
bringing it
marketing
back
and
home.
sales, a big part of that job is attending conferences. So it just is too expensive to
Yeah,
hire somebody,
yeah,
far
totally.
away. And then the customer success, they need to pass a background check. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Or the
contractually,
governments? Is that a requirement for the government? Oh, interesting.
mhm, not
Cool.
all of
Okay.
ours, but we have some contracts where they ask that our
Uh-huh.
employees that have access to their data have passed
Sure.
a background check and are subject to drug screenings. Um,
Hmm.
so I had to set up a drug policy in the company, and show them that we have a drug policy. That was one of them
Yeah.
where they wanted regular drug screenings for all of our employees,
Wow.
and I
Interesting.
said, we're not going to do that. It's like, it may lose us the contract, but I was like, I'm not going to do that. It's just
And that would include
culturally, it
yourself, I
just
guess,
feels
having to
wrong,
show up
right?
down at the. Wow, that's amazing.
But I said, we'll set up a drug policy though, and I'll present you with what that is, and that satisfied them,
Fair
but
enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that's hilarious.
yeah, it's, who knows? One day, I mean, I do have somebody in the Philippines that works for me, and she doesn't have
Yeah.
access to customer accounts, and
Right.
um,
Yeah.
and her rates are pretty much what you just shared, and
Yeah. Yeah.
she seems to have, and she only works part time. She's a mom, but she
Cool.
seems to. Um, we are connected on social media, and I think
Hmm.
she does fine on that wage, you know.
You're like,
So
exactly. That's actually funny because I saw one of my one of my hires at one of my employees on their Instagram, and she was, Instagram, you kind of brag. So she was putting up how she had her housekeeper. She's like, I had my housekeeper redo, do deep carpet cleaning and deep furniture cleaning, and she's showing the couches getting redone and all this stuff. And I'm just like,
mhm.
I don't have a housekeeper. How is it that how is it that she's taken my wage and living basically a much higher end life than me? I think so.
Are they living in the U.S.?
No, they're in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So
I understand that
I'm sure she has a
is
beautiful
normal.
car and she's got a
Yeah.
housekeeper. She's got everything. And I'm like, wow, I should really, really rethink this. What am I doing here?
I knew somebody in
But,
India, and they had a driver, and their driver just hung
wow.
out all day, ready to give someone a ride somewhere.
That's
And
awesome.
they
Nice.
they were definitely like a middle class
Yeah.
family
Upper middle
by
class, it sounds
U.S.
like.
uh, standards, but
Nice.
different story in India, you know. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
pretty
there's pros and
interesting.
cons, of course. I think what's interesting is when I was in Thailand for a little while, it's especially I was in Chiang Mai, which is a northern, slower city, and I
Hmm.
remember the feeling that a lot of us there were talking about was how there had been a number of entrepreneurs that had moved there to start a business, and because things were so pleasant and slow and like just this gliding through like slow motion, people would talk about how their businesses really were stagnant, and a lot of folks were like, move to the US, pay those living costs, and you'll be motivated to get your business growing again. And I kind of can see
Interesting.
the value of that. It was too
Yeah.
easy. It was too cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just culturally. I've heard that certain cities in the US, like Miami, is not a
Mm.
startup hotspot because culturally it's not
Hmm.
buzzing, as much as other cities, and people kind of just relax, and they're all about having a
Yeah.
good time, going to the beach,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
and other cities have a different culture in the city, So
True.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that could be.
So
So
I
any
have a
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I had I heard a new idea come across my plate for my business, and I wonder if you've had experience with this. So, I was in my Tiny Seed Mastermind today,
Hmm.
and we were talking about how to improve our mastermind, and somebody mentioned that he sets up mastermind groups for his users,
Hmm.
and I thought
Interesting.
that is a cool idea,
Mm-hmm.
to create a community with your users,
Mm-hmm.
um, and anyway, have you ever set up any kind of communities? I know that some people have like Slack groups for their users or something like that. Have you ever set up a community like that before?
Yeah, I have to a certain extent in our dental business, and we have for those who don't remember, there's or don't know, there's international dentists are who make up our customer set or our client base there,
And then
and
your
we have
dental business is offering
yeah,
tutorial videos.
we offer coaching and courses on becoming a U.S. dentist if you're a foreign
Okay,
trained dentist, and
thanks
so
for that
there's
refresher.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of folks that are in the US, they're trying to figure out this process. It's rather complicated, a lot of tests, a lot of intricacies, and a lot of information that's just not available. And so even to us. And so we have set up our course site to be a community for one thing, so that people can join. There is a messaging system inside there. A lot of people have actually met that way, and kind of connect that way. And then there's also forums and stuff like that, and they'll reach out to each other and talk. And so there's been that kind of natural connection. But one thing I did that I'm about to do again pretty soon for that business is we had sort of a group coaching thing about a year ago where we invited about 7 or 8 people to join, and it was like a weekly call. And a lot of those people actually also became friends. I guess just being on a live call really helped people feel comfortable with each other more than just being in a group. We also have a Facebook group, but the it's sort of like the group dynamic of that Facebook group is pretty low. It's pretty low, low interest and low activity. And so I found that, kind of to your point, if you were to set up a formal live group meeting call or Zoom or something like that, I think the feeling of connection and feeling of community would, 10x versus just some more of a passive Facebook group or something like that. I found those. So there's but either way, I mean, it's oddly enough too, those Facebook groups that a lot of people kind of rely on with businesses. My sense is that you really have to push and be consistent at pushing every day to get those kind of like off the ground. And so what was I listening to? I feel like I was listening to the Tnba podcast from last week. Now I'll do my little rant. I'll give it back to you. But basically, like they run an online community called the Dynamite Circle. Both of you and I are part of it. But they've been doing this for 7 or 8 years, and they run masterminds in that group. And so one thing that they were mentioning is because someone had left a question for them, which was effectively, I have a business. I'm thinking of connecting some of my customers together in masterminds, kind of what you're talking about. Should I do that? And their response was effectively like, yes, you can do it. It's a great idea, but just make sure that, it's, it's hard to kind of get yourself in what your kind of business goals are and separate that from what their goals are. And so, I would say it's a good idea. My question would just be, can you do it in a way that's not too taxing on you? And also, and not just another to-do on your big to-do list, but it's actually leading to something that you want in the business. I guess customer success would be it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you limited it to only users, there's a little bit of exclusivity and kind of a team brand strengthening there a little bit, like, we're civic reviewers or whatever, team member name that you come up with. On the other hand, why not let external people join these, and then it turns into a marketing funnel as well,
right?
So
that's
exactly, you have to
what
monitor, make sure people aren't trashing your product.
Exactly. That's a good point. And when I mentioned that earlier about like the question that they answered, one thing I was not going to say because I thought maybe it doesn't apply to you, but what they were literally addressing was, as a marketing channel, is it worth it? And I think what Ian from the podcast mentioned was like, you have to be careful with business created groups because customers that are not your customers can sniff out quickly that this is not really for them. It's for you as a business, and so you have to be very and I have found that too. So we have in the dental world, again, there are Facebook groups that we as a business are a part of that some students started. And those are like wildfires, just like tons of activity going on. When we set up our own business sponsored group, it's dead as a doornail. And we are the only ones posted on there because people kind of know like, oh, this is their site. They're trying to push their product. We know what they're doing. And so there's that weird kind of thing where can you can you get it? There are some businesses that really do well at this, and they end up creating that group that's dynamite. But the question is, what are they doing to make sure that they keep that group moving, but not make the users feel like, okay, well, you can't talk about any competitors or whatever. I don't know. So there's that aspect, right, where you want to kind of.
Yeah, I could imagine if it's something like a public Slack group, you would need to make sure that you are staying out of the conversation, right? I mean, you're just like,
right,
we're hosting this, maybe designate somebody who's already a fan of your company, but in the user base to become the what's the word? The police moderator, whatever.
Yeah.
And and the mastermind group is interesting because what if we helped people organize into mastermind groups and then we're not a part of it, like just do their own thing, help each other be better at their job, I don't know.
Definitely. That's an interesting idea. I like that initial idea of if you're helping to organize people into mastermind groups as an idea. What's cool about it could be that you are you're fostering loyalty with the customers, and they're seeing it as a perk to them being a part of your service, especially if it's to those people who are using your product. And so I could see that to me feels a little more like I could see this. Could see the payback for you guys a little more clearly without, because it's going to take some time. That would be, so maybe you would have your virtual assistant work on that and as part of her routine. Right. But my only thought would be, if the public one I've seen, when you do it to open it up to everyone, again, everyone's kind of shy about being the first one to speak, so they're not going to make an active group that's not active. I've tried many times. I guess I will say I've tried multiple times to try to create groups based on a company, and it's usually me talking and hearing myself or watching myself post. So it's hard to get that momentum going. Yeah. And then it becomes then the question too is how much marketing, how much benefit are you getting from that marketing channel, and how much versus how much work it's taking, right? And that's the question of like, benefits of the energy it takes. So, good question. Good topics though.
Yeah,
because I'm actually thinking, as you were speaking, I was like, wow, that would also be good for course creators. Because with Owlish, like, I could see that being a really good idea of not so much the public community, but setting up masterminds for customers. To me, that would be kind of a cool little perk as a part of like the pro plan or something. Like you get to join a mastermind. Like I kind of think that would be awesome, actually. Something to think about.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Any last things that you're gonna try to have done by next time? Any?
Challenges for next time. If we're meeting again in 2 weeks, my goal is to have a job offer extended to a customer success rep. Okay. Marketing and sales can wait a little bit, but a customer success rep is an immediate need. And I will be disappointed if I don't have somebody in 2 weeks.
Okay. So. I like the way you put that. And I will be disappointed if I don't have the spigot turned on so that you can go to our website and sign up for self-service
at owlish.com.
Owlish.com. 2 W's. Nice. All right, sir. Great to chat. See you next time.
Thanks for listening. You can learn more by visiting dadswithstartups.com. Please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/dadswithstartups. Until next time, bye.